Mr. Anthony Yarde. Now we're in the, how should we put it, the Canning Town calm before the Russian storm that's looming. The beast is off to Russia. How are you feeling about it all at the moment?
I'm just excited. Very, very excited.
Sorry to disturb. AY fighting against Kovalev.
You know
this
that's
guy's
it.
future world champion.
Come on.
He's going to be world champion in about less than a month. Imagine that. This guy come from nothing, and in less than a month he's going to be world champion.
World champion.
Be proud of yourself.
Be proud of myself. Hell yeah.
I think he will be.
You know what? Me and Ahara again. We started from the beginning. When I walked in the gym, Ahara was in there. He was skipping. And these are the times when I just started watching Floyd Mayweather and I see Mayweather doing the same kind of skipping. I said, no, I want to learn how to do that. So again, me and Howard have been friends for since I started boxing. So
it was back with Tony Cisse, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tony Cisse. We both still see Tony Cisse almost every day. We both trained with Tunde Ajayi. I still train with Tunde Ajayi now. So yeah, it's been a long journey, man. It's been about 8 years now since I started.
Has it sunk in, sort of where you've got to yet, or are you just sort of just keeping it business-like?
No, it's been sinking in. But at the same time, when you really believe something and then it starts happening, why are you gonna act? You wouldn't act all surprised if you really believed it in the first place. When I first, I don't know if epiphany is the right word to use, but I had an epiphany that I was meant to be a boxer. I feel like I got very excited then. When I saw it, I just saw it all happening. I saw myself becoming world champion. I saw myself getting into the rankings, knocking out a lot of people, and it's all happened. So it's like, in the beginning it's surreal, it's scary. When it's all happening, you're thinking, like, wow. Like when I first started, everyone was telling me it's impossible. You can't just go out there and knock out everyone, make a name for yourself, and then become world champion.
But I remember you, going back pretty much to the beginning of the professional days, and we were, you were talking about this sort of thing then. It's not something that's recently cropped up. You were utterly convinced, but this was the direction you were headed. You told me about the times when you were in the amateurs and you had to stop fighting because you knocked them all out and you couldn't get any opponents, and they were trying to almost get you not to knock them out so you could have an opponent, but you weren't having that, were you?
Exactly. So I just feel like amateurs, I learned a lot in the short space of time. I was an amateur. I learned a lot, and that's just do you. I got told by my amateur coach at the time, don't knock out people. Even if you can knock someone out, take your time because you won't get no fights. The one time I did let it go the distance, they saw it as I was showboating, and they gave the other guy the decision, even though he knew he didn't deserve it. He tried to give me his medal afterwards, black eye, bloody nose, and I was fine. My face is just how you see it now. He knows I won, I know I won. Again, Ahara was there shouting down the venue, saying that's a robbery. But I learned a lot from that fight, and that's do what your intuition told you to do. Don't go out there and play about, because boxing is not a game that you play. So after that fight, which was my second amateur fight, I knocked out everybody. And if I got to the third round, I was going for you. Like literally like a lion when it sees meat. I was trying to finish the fight. Every single amateur fight I had.
I was saying to Tunde just before, you've both been very consistent right from the beginning in what you've done and what you've said. You've very much stayed in your lane. You haven't let anybody or outside influences affect anything that you've done. You just sort of brushed it off, ignored it. You think people say about fighting domestic opponents, fight him, but you just stayed in your lane, kept quiet most of the time. The only person I suppose you ever really got involved with was Buglioni, wasn't it? But I think that was because he mentioned your name first. You know what,
with Buglioni, it just, you know what, a lot of people mention my name, but again, if I hear about it and it don't make sense, I just laugh, because I know and they know they're not at that level, or it will be stupid for me to fight them. Yeah, it might be a fight that some people want to see domestically, but when you think on a bigger scale and you feel like you want to be on a world level, sometimes a small pot won't really tempt you. Again, this Kovalev fight, again, it's a big pot, it's a massive pot, so it tempted me. Yes, it's on paper it's a big ask, going out to Russia. What they're asking me to do is dethrone a
future Hall of Famer.
A future Hall of Famer, a guy that's been there, done it, fought the best in the division, steam trained his way through the division. Been a world champion for a very long time. He was world champion when I was just starting boxing. So
He was probably world champion while you were still at school, to be fair.
probably, exactly. So when they say quote unquote it's a big ask, I've been doing the big ask. You know, go out there and knock him out, and go out there and, you know, I'm on a first round job. Go out there and do it, and I've been doing it. People don't know what me and Tony discussed in the change room, challenging myself. This round I want a first round knockout. This round, when I had an abscess toothache, and literally anyone that knows about abscess toothaches, they're a serious thing. And again, it was part of my building blocks. I was saying to myself, you know what? I know how tough I can be, but this is stupid. I can fight 2 months from now. It don't matter. Tony was saying, I just think this is a test for you. If you're too certain, go out there and knock him out first round. So Tony got me upset. He got me angry. Started making me like challenge myself. And then again, this ain't no story that I'm telling. This is the truth. I went out there and I knocked out the guy first round, and that was for my first title, my first European, WBO European belt. And Richard Hubbard he was in top 10, and I went out there and knocked him out first round just because I got challenged to.
I do remember that at the time, and I think probably a lot of yourselves and Tunde's relationship is about psychology and sort of, tweaking each other, isn't it? And sort of just little things that are going to get the best out of him as well. It works both ways, I believe.
Definitely. I mean, again, sometimes what a lot of fighters don't realise, is they don't understand that it's not always. Sometimes it is, but it's not always about going out there and finding the trainer with the best resume. Sometimes it's about finding a trainer that gels with you and that can push you to your limit in the best way, because people can push you to your limit in a negative way. They can go out there and dictate what you do, run this time, go out there, do this, go in there and do that, but you're not going to be happy doing it. And when you're not
hating them, couldn't you?
You're not hating each other, and when you're not happy doing something, it don't flow as nice. The current, current's going all over the place. When you jump in the sea, if you relax, the current takes you a certain way. Fish swimming with a certain current. But when you're going against the current, it can be very hard. But when you're going with the current, it's a beautiful story. You get to see all the beautiful sights. It's just you usually get a beautiful outcome.
Tunde knows you so well, but he knows when to leave you alone, when to just give you a little nudge, or when to actually probably jump on you a little bit.
I said this to Tunde the other day. I said, come on, man, like, sometimes just push me a bit more. Just tell me, like, come on, a couple more. But he's like, Ant, what you're doing already, it's like unhuman, like. So, your body. I don't need to tell you to push to do anything, because that's not natural. You've already got that lion mentality. You've already got that mentality to push yourself, and within yourself. Sometimes I might come in there and do an hour and a half. It might be a good pace, but I wanted to do an hour and 45 or 2 hours, and I might be like, I didn't do my 2 hours today. But then I did push myself to the limit. I was consistent in my training. Evening I'll go and do a run. On my run I push myself to the limit. So it's all about your own limit and your own barriers, and trying to break your own barriers gradually. You can break your own barrier, but then for the next week you're finished. That's what people don't understand about boxing and pushing yourself to the limit. It's about pushing yourself to the limit and then gradually just stepping past it. Gradually. Some people try and do a marathon every day, and it won't work. Your body will break down you. But it's about knowing your body and going with the current and pushing bit by bit.
By the same token, as a fighter, if you cheat, you're only cheating yourself, aren't you?
100%. And that's what Tunde says to me. Well, that's what he knows. He's seen me push myself every day, every single day. You can just see it sometimes. I might spar. I've had a long week. I might spar on Friday, and I've got about 3 or 4 sparring partners ready. They're coming in all fresh, and I'm pushing myself. But again, there's still a certain part of nature. You're still going to be, you're going to feel it. Your muscles ain't going to cooperate as they would have on the Tuesday. Do you get what I'm saying? But it's about, again, pushing yourself and understanding why your punch might be a bit slower, you might be a bit different. But again, that's why when you're preparing for a fight, on the week of the fight, you taper down. After your weigh-in, you get a lot of rest. And then comes fight night, you turn up, show up, blow up.
Now, I remember we was in there a few months ago now, and you were being a bit grumpy at the time about potential world title fights, when, if, whatever. And I just said to you, I threw in just gently, a gentle bowl. I said, Yarde Kovalev's got a nice ring to it, and you kind of agreed at the time, and it kind of sort of tickled your fancy and got you talking a little bit. So it worked in that respect. But now it's actually happening. Did you ever always see it as fate, but it would be that man Kovalev?
Do you know what? I just saw it as this, like, when you, again, I'm a strong believer and a firm believer in God. I'm a firm believer in, God provided us with a universe, and the universe will mould things in place for you. And when you just believe the process, and I feel like this was the process, when you pray for something and you work towards something and you believe in the process, it happens in the best way for you, in the best way possible. And Kovalev's had his time, he's done fantastic. But again, I'm very confident with myself. Going out to Russia, again, that's what makes it all the more, it makes it more sweet for me. But when I do this, there's I would say more than 50% of the world will think, this is actually an impossible task. Going to someone's backyard, going to Russia especially, it's going to be serious, it's going to be tough. You're going to have a lot to deal with. And then you're going to have Kovalev to deal with in front of you on the fight night. So far, everything's been in my backyard, how I want it. Except for when I went America, but even still, they were still talking about me. I got all the attention, the media attention. But this time it's a different kettle of fish. But again, I'm going to embrace it and enjoy it. There's a smile on my face now because I've gone to another level in life. And again, people that come from where I'm come from, they will understand this. Some people won't. But when you've come through into another part of life, and you've broken through to a whole nother life,
stratosphere,
a whole nother stratosphere. There's only things to smile about. And I got to the stage, so I'm enjoying it. I'm going to take it with both hands.
How different does this preparation period feel compared to, a normal defence of your WBO, Intercontinental or European title? Is it just a little butterfly feeling? How different does it really feel in yourself?
A lot of people ain't going to believe this, but there's only excitement. There's no butterfly feelings. That's nerves. I haven't had. I don't know if they might come later or what, but there's been no nerves. The only nerves there's been is pushing myself to the limit, because that's all you can do. When you think logically, yeah, all I'm in control of is how hard I'm working, what I choose to do with my time, how much I'm resting, how much I'm keeping a smile on my face, keeping my energies and my vibrations high. I'm in control of what I'm doing, pushing myself to the limit, working hard, recovering my muscles, making sure I'm getting the right rest and things like that. And then come fight night, you try and stay switched on, you try and get the job done. Everything else ain't my business, and I'm not in control of. I saw some things in the media the other day about Kovalev. That's not my business. It's nothing to do with me. So that's not something I want to focus on. There's been other fights happening, nothing to do with me. There might be in my weight class and people are sending me stuff saying, oh, look at what happened or whatever. I just say, none of my business. My next fight is against Kovalev for the world title. Anything else is not my business.
How much did because obviously this fight was originally thought was going to happen at the end of June.
Yeah.
There was obviously issues over it. How much did that affect you at the time? Did you ever fear but it wouldn't happen, or it was slipping away from you?
No, because I feel like whatever's meant to be is going to be. Whatever's meant to be is going to be. Again, within that time of me, I was meant to fight at the end of June. Between then to now, I've learnt something. So again, it's everything I feel like is in my favour. We've as a team we've learnt something. Going over to Russia, we've learnt that there's certain things we needed to do before we got to Russia. I won't talk too much, but it was meant to happen. It was definitely meant to happen.
Do you apply the same thought process to when Canelo's name started getting thrown into the works? People sort of saying, oh, he might fight Canelo. Do you just apply the same logic to that?
Exact same logic. It was meant to happen. Canelo, again, right now he's a Mexican superstar in boxing, or he's a superstar in boxing, full stop. And again, the fact Kovalev's name started getting associated with Canelo Alvarez's, but then I was the name blocking it, my name's in the mix. So I'm just looking at it, smiling, thinking, wow, my name's in the mix. So again, within a few years, the way I see things happening is within a few years, people are going to be looking back saying, remember his first world title fight? He beat Kovalev for the world title.
In a little village in Russia.
A little village in Russia. Again, people are saying I hate how cocky he is, I hate how arrogant he's being, he needs to understand he's going to be in a hard fight, etc. That's for them to think. I don't think like that. I just feel like I'm here, I'm going to enjoy it. I like fighting anyway. That's the way I see it. We go out there, we spar, we prepare ourselves. Before, I never used to fight on the street, but I was in a certain environment. I feel like your environment sometimes can mold you. So I grew up in a certain environment where people are doing things for nothing anyway. So now I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm in a stage. There's cameras in my face. There's people expecting things of me or whatever. But still, for me, it's fun. At the end of the day, when you get in the ring and you start trading leather, it's a lot of fun.
It's kind of a bit of a shame we're not doing this in the Russian winter. Then you could have gone out there and done a Rocky 4, couldn't you? Sort of, what was his name? Ivan Drago. Could have gone out there chopping some wood and all that sort of thing.
I don't know about all that. I like to keep movies as movies and reality as reality. I ain't going out there and doing a Rocky 4 because I'm sure the punches that Rocky Balboa was taking in Rocky 4, very unrealistic. I'm not looking to leave there with a face looking like that. I'm not looking to take as much punishment as Rocky did. So again, I'm not even putting that kind of thing into my brain. That's a movie, and I like to keep it as a movie. And I'll probably watch Rocky 4 after the fight.
When fighters go into big fights, and there's quite a lot of talk about visualisation. People visualise the arena, the atmosphere, but with you going into an alien environment, kind of, is visualisation that little bit more difficult? Because you haven't got a clue what it's going to be like out there.
I'm not, and that's the excitement for me. That's because I don't know nothing. Literally, I don't know nothing, and that's the excitement for me. I don't know what the venue's going to look like. I don't know what the crowd's going to be like. I might go out there and some of the crowd might be cheering for me. Oh, we know you, we like you.
You could be fighting in his old school hall for all you know.
We might be fighting in his secondary school, in the gym, in the gym of his secondary school. I don't know, but again, that's the beauty of it, and that's the challenge. And you know, everyone's built different, and some people they fold under pressure, and it's not only the pressure, it's the occasion that makes them fold. And for me, it's this. I'm doing something that a lot of people could never do. 12 amateur fights, 18 professional fights. You're going out there with your team and you're going to fight with someone. If you think about realistically, there's a lot of pressure on my shoulders. A lot of pressure. Some people are saying there's no pressure on you, but there is. When you're as ambitious as me, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So the beauty of it is me challenging myself, going out to Russia. You know, the trenches. That's where I'm seeing it. I'm going to the trenches. I'm fighting, you know, arguably the best light heavyweight there's been in recent years. I'm gonna dethrone him in his own backyard. For me, that's tremendous.
To become world champion.
To become world champion. It wasn't no paper champion. It wasn't a champion by default. He didn't win the fight by no default. He's been world champion for a long time. In his last fight, he looked good. The first fight against Andre Wood was controversial. The second fight, I said that he got stopped. The first fight against, I forgot what's the guy's name, Alvarez. He got stopped. He come back. He beat him. So again, there's not really much arguments. And I think, how much times has he lost? Twice.
Something like that.
Twice. He's lost twice against them two guys. And
3 times, isn't it? Yeah.
3 times, something like that. I don't know, but again, it's still going to be a fantastic moment for me because I know that Kovalev at one point was the monster of the division.
It's funny you going for a world title this year. There's a lot of world things happening this year. You've had the Cricket World Cup won by England. You've got the Rugby World Cup coming up later this year. And it sort of got me thinking, but instead of fighting for a world title in Russia, there was a time where you could have been thinking about going out to the Rugby World Cup in Tokyo if you'd have taken up a little offer from Harlequins back at the time. So talk us through that, what your recollections, because I don't think we've ever talked about it on camera, was that you nearly wound up as throwing the oval ball around for Harlequins.
Literally. From school, when my teacher saw me do athletics and he saw me run 100 metres and 200 metres, because of my strength, I was known for being like very strong in school. When he saw me run, he said, nah, I've never seen nothing like it. So he took me to, he knew the guy at Harlequins, the guy that was running the first team. And at this time, I think I was around 15 years old. You needed to be 16 to even have trials or join the team or whatever. And when he took me to the team, they explained to him about the age difference or whatever, but they said by all means he can join in. He told him when I'm going to be turning 16, etc. I was literally doing the training for about a week. I was enjoying it, but my mind wasn't in it. I didn't even take in where I was, what kind of team it was or nothing. I didn't do no research on the team until after. But literally I just stopped going. My heart wasn't in it. But again, I don't even talk about that anymore because that's the past. And I just see it as when so many doors can close on you, but when the right door opens, it's always meant to be, and you'll benefit from it a lot more.
It could have been an egg chaser, but yeah, it's almost certainly in my mind going to be a world champion.
I'm still chasing them eggs, trust me. I'm still chasing them golden eggs, believe me.
Anthony, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, you know we wish you every success, so best of luck, pal.
Lions on the count.